When my catering van sputtered to a complete stop on Highway 34 with no cell service and dwindling daylight, I thought my small food delivery business was finished. As someone barely making ends meet with my mobile lunch service, I couldn't afford expensive repairs or losing customers while my van sat in some overpriced shop for weeks. You won't believe what happened next. I never expected the gruff old mechanic at the ramshackle garage to teach me how to fix cars myself, or that our unlikely friendship would lead to the most innovative food and auto service combination anyone had ever seen. Sometimes when your vehicle breaks down, it's actually breaking you open to possibilities you never imagined were waiting just around the corner. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Life's Changing Stories. Now, let's dive into today's story. The weathered Ford Transit van that Natalie Rodriguez depended on for her struggling mobile catering business had been showing signs of mechanical distress for several weeks, with occasional engine hesitation, intermittent electrical issues, and a persistent rattling sound that suggested something important was working loose beneath the hood. At 26, Natalie had been operating Rolling Feast Mobile Catering for 18 months, building a modest clientele of office workers, construction crews, and event organizers who appreciated having fresh, homemade meals delivered directly to their locations without the expense and complexity of traditional catering services that required advance booking and minimum order quantities. The van represented both Natalie's primary business asset and her greatest financial vulnerability, as she had purchased it used with a loan that consumed nearly half her monthly revenue while providing the mobility that made her catering concept possible. Without reliable transportation, Natalie couldn't deliver meals to her regular customers, attend weekend farmers markets where she generated supplemental income, or expand her service area to include the suburban office parks that offered the best opportunities for growing her business into something financially sustainable. Natalie's profit margins were razor-thin due to food costs, fuel expenses, and the van payment that left little room for unexpected repairs or mechanical emergencies that could shut down her operation for days or weeks while she tried to find affordable solutions. She had been avoiding taking the van to established repair shops because she knew that major automotive work could easily cost more than she earned in a month, potentially forcing her to choose between fixing her transportation and paying her rent, utilities, or the ingredients needed to fulfill her existing customer commitments. On this particular Thursday afternoon, Natalie was returning from a successful lunch delivery to a construction site outside town when her van began showing signs of serious mechanical distress, with the engine sputtering and losing power before finally dying completely on a remote stretch of Highway 34 where cell phone service was spotty and traffic was minimal. As she coasted to a stop on the shoulder of the road, Natalie felt panic rising in her chest as she realized that a major breakdown could destroy the small business she had worked so hard to build, and the financial independence she had finally begun to achieve after years of working for other people. Natalie Rodriguez turned the ignition key one more time, hoping against hope that her van would miraculously start, despite the complete absence of any sound from the engine that had been her lifeline for the past 18 months of building her mobile catering business from a desperate idea into a barely sustainable source of income. At 26, Natalie understood that losing her transportation meant losing everything she had worked to create, including the regular customers who depended on her daily lunch deliveries and the weekend farmers market income that provided the margin between survival and financial catastrophe. The remote stretch of Highway 34, where Natalie's van had finally surrendered, offered little hope for immediate assistance, with no visible businesses or residential areas within walking distance and cell phone service that flickered in and out depending on atmospheric conditions and geographic obstacles. Natalie had been driving this route regularly for over a year, but she had never paid attention to the small businesses and service providers that existed along the less traveled roads that connected the rural areas surrounding her primary service territory. As Natalie sat in her disabled van contemplating her limited options and trying not to panic about the financial implications of a major repair bill, she remembered glimpsing a faded roadside sign several miles back that had advertised automotive services, though she couldn't recall the specific details or exact location of what might be her only hope for affordable mechanical assistance. After locking her van and beginning the long walk back along Highway 34, Natalie eventually spotted the weathered wooden sign she had been seeking. Tim's Auto Repair, honest work, fair prices. The sign pointed down a gravel road that led to what appeared to be a ramshackle garage surrounded by an eclectic collection of vehicles in various stages of repair, disassembly, and abandonment that suggested a mechanic who specialized in challenging projects rather than routine maintenance for newer cars. The garage itself looked like it had been constructed decades earlier from salvaged materials and expanded over time through necessity rather than planning, with corrugated metal siding, a collection of hand-painted signs advertising different services, and the kind of organized chaos that indicated someone who knew where everything was located, despite the apparent lack of formal organization that would satisfy corporate efficiency consultants or business management experts. As Natalie approached the main building, a hulking figure emerged from the dim interior of the garage, wiping grease-stained hands on coveralls that had clearly seen years of hard use while working on automotive projects that required both technical skill and physical strength. The man appeared to be in his early 60s, with weathered features, calloused hands, and the kind of direct gaze that suggested someone who had little patience for small talk or social pleasantries when there was work to be done. "Problem?" Tim Morrison asked without preamble, his gravelly voice carrying the authority of someone who had been solving mechanical problems for longer than most people had been driving cars. Natalie felt suddenly like a nervous teenager as she explained that her van had died on Highway 34 and that she desperately needed affordable repairs to keep her catering business running, though she was afraid to ask about costs because she knew that automotive work was expensive and her budget was already stretched beyond its limits. "Van won't start at all," Natalie said, trying to project confidence while internally panicking about the potential expense of hiring a mechanic whose rates she couldn't afford to pay. Tim immediately began asking diagnostic questions about the van's symptoms, the circumstances of its failure, and its maintenance history, demonstrating the kind of methodical approach that indicated decades of experience troubleshooting automotive problems that stumped less experienced mechanics. "Pop the hood and let me take a look," Tim barked, already walking toward his truck to retrieve the tools and equipment needed to diagnose whatever was wrong with Natalie's transportation. During the 20-minute drive back to Natalie's disabled van, Tim quickly identified the primary problem as a failed alternator that had been gradually losing its ability to charge the battery, creating a cascade of electrical failures that had ultimately left the vehicle completely inoperable. His diagnosis was delivered with the kind of matter-of-fact clarity that suggested this was a relatively straightforward repair rather than the catastrophic engine failure that Natalie had been fearing. "Dead alternator? Probably been failing for weeks," Tim explained, rattling off part numbers and labor estimates that immediately filled Natalie with dread about costs she couldn't possibly afford while maintaining her business operations and personal expenses. Tim noticed Natalie's obvious distress as she processed the financial implications of his diagnosis, and his gruff demeanor softened slightly as he recognized the look of someone facing difficult choices between essential needs and available resources. "You seem overwhelmed," Tim observed, his voice losing some of its habitual gruffness as he studied Natalie's expression and body language with the same attention to detail he applied to diagnosing mechanical problems. "Sometimes things pile up faster than you can handle them," Tim continued, offering the kind of practical wisdom that came from decades of helping people solve problems that seemed insurmountable until they were broken down into manageable components. "Can't fix everything at once, but you've got to start with the basics and work your way through the list." His blunt practicality resonated with Natalie, who had been trying to juggle too many urgent priorities while losing sight of the fundamental steps needed to stabilize her situation and build sustainable solutions for her business and personal challenges. "What are the basics?" Natalie asked, sensing that Tim's approach to problem-solving might apply to more than just automotive repair. "New alternator. Check the charging system. Make sure the battery holds a proper charge," Tim replied, already planning the repair process in his mind. "We'll start there and see what else turns up." Over the next 2 hours, Natalie found herself serving as Tim's assistant and apprentice, holding flashlights, fetching tools, and gradually learning basic automotive repair skills while Tim diagnosed and addressed multiple issues that had been compromising her van's reliability for months. Working together in focused concentration helped clear Natalie's mind and provided a welcome distraction from the financial anxiety that had been consuming her thoughts for weeks. The initially awkward silences between them gradually gave way to unexpected snippets of conversation as they worked in sync, with Tim's mechanical expertise complemented by Natalie's willingness to learn and her careful attention to his instructions and explanations. Tim grumbled good-naturedly about modern automotive technology while sharing stories about drag racing and automotive restoration projects from his younger days, revealing hints of a more adventurous past that contrasted with his current role as the owner of a small, independent garage serving rural customers who couldn't afford dealership service rates. Natalie shared details about her catering business, her dreams of expanding into event planning and specialty food delivery, and her struggles to build a customer base while competing with established restaurants and catering companies that had significant advantages in terms of equipment, location, and marketing budgets. Tim showed a hint of respect for Natalie's entrepreneurial plans, recognizing the hard work and determination required to build any small business from scratch while navigating the challenges of uncertain income, demanding customers, and constant pressure to deliver quality results with limited resources. When Tim's repair work finally brought Natalie's van back to life, she felt a surge of relief mixed with pride in having contributed to solving her own transportation crisis rather than simply paying someone else to handle the problem while she waited helplessly for results. The repair bill was painful but surprisingly fair compared to what Natalie had expected from established automotive service centers, and when she asked Tim about addressing the remaining electrical issues that might cause future problems, he suggested she return the following week when he would have time to teach her additional diagnostic and repair skills that would help her maintain her van independently. "You're not so bad with a wrench," Tim said, which Natalie quickly learned was extraordinarily high praise from someone who rarely complimented anyone's mechanical abilities or work ethic. Natalie began a routine of Tuesdays at Tim's, bringing coffee and homemade sandwiches while learning to diagnose automotive problems by listening to engine sounds, observing performance patterns, and understanding the relationships between different mechanical systems. Under Tim's patient instruction, her van became increasingly reliable, while her confidence in handling minor repairs and maintenance grew significantly. Their working relationship was interrupted one afternoon by the arrival of Don Carter, the owner of Carter's Premium Auto Service, a chain of upscale repair facilities that specialized in luxury vehicles and premium customer experiences. Carter had been attempting to purchase Tim's garage for months, viewing the property as a strategic location for expanding his business empire while eliminating a competitor who offered more affordable services to working-class customers. Carter made several disparaging comments about Tim's facilities and business model, then turned his attention to Natalie with obvious condescension, referring to her as Tim's new helper and implying that her presence indicated desperation rather than the practical apprenticeship that had been developing over weeks of collaborative work. "I'm pretty good with cars, actually," Natalie said firmly, standing up for both Tim and herself while demonstrating the confidence she had gained through learning practical skills that most people her age had never attempted to develop. Tim's face showed genuine pride in Natalie's response, and Carter's dismissive attitude only strengthened their partnership while confirming Tim's instinctive dislike for business approaches that prioritized profit over craftsmanship and customer service. After Carter left, Tim expressed his frustration with the encroachment of chain stores and corporate auto service centers that were gradually eliminating independent mechanics who had built their reputations on honest work and fair pricing rather than flashy facilities and aggressive marketing campaigns. "You do good work," Natalie reassured him, "and you know cars better than any of those fancy shops with their computerized diagnostic equipment and salespeople who've never actually held a wrench. Sometimes I forget you've got a good head on your shoulders for someone who started out knowing nothing about engines," Tim replied, offering what Natalie recognized as the highest compliment he was capable of giving to anyone who worked with automotive repair. The next Tuesday, Natalie approached him with a worn notebook containing sketches and business plans that she had been developing during her spare time, outlining an innovative concept that would combine her catering expertise with the mechanical skills she had been learning under his guidance. Her design incorporated a specialized vehicle that could serve as both a mobile kitchen for food delivery and a roadside assistance service offering basic automotive repairs, oil changes, and emergency mechanical help for drivers who found themselves stranded with minor problems that didn't require towing to established repair facilities. "Mobile meals and roadside repairs," Natalie explained enthusiastically, showing Tim her sketches of a van equipped with a fold-down workbench, storage for automotive tools and supplies, and a compact kitchen setup that could provide fresh food and quick mechanical fixes for people who valued both convenience and quality service. She envisioned serving construction workers, traveling salespeople, and busy families who needed both sustenance and automotive maintenance delivered to their locations, rather than having to interrupt their schedules to visit separate businesses for food and car service. A slow grin spread across Tim's weathered face as he studied Natalie's business plan and began to understand the potential for combining their complementary skills into something unique and potentially very successful. "That might just be crazy enough to work," Tim declared, already imagining the possibilities for a partnership that would allow him to continue doing the automotive work he loved while expanding into new markets through Natalie's entrepreneurial energy and customer service skills. Their collaboration had begun with a simple van breakdown, but had evolved into a friendship based on mutual respect, shared work ethic, and the recognition that their different areas of expertise could be combined into something more valuable and innovative than either of them could achieve independently. 6 months later, Road Feast and Fix had become the most talked about mobile service in their region, with Natalie's gourmet sandwiches and Tim's expert automotive repairs creating a customer experience that no competitor could replicate. Their success proved that the best business partnerships often emerge from unexpected circumstances, and that breakdown moments can become breakthrough opportunities when people are willing to learn from each other and build something new together. Tim's garage had been transformed into the headquarters for their expanding operation, with the ramshackle building that Carter had once dismissed now serving as the base for a thriving enterprise that combined traditional craftsmanship with innovative customer service in ways that created value for everyone involved. Natalie had found not only a business partner, but a mentor whose practical wisdom and automotive expertise had given her the foundation for building the kind of sustainable, profitable enterprise she had always dreamed of creating. Tim had discovered that his years of mechanical knowledge could be combined with fresh ideas and entrepreneurial energy to create something more exciting and financially rewarding than simply maintaining the status quo of independent automotive repair. Their story became a reminder that the most successful partnerships often develop between people who initially seem to have little in common, but who discover, through working together, that their different strengths can be combined into something more powerful and innovative than either could achieve alone. We hope you enjoyed today's story of love, life, and betrayal. For more free stories and entertainment from our channel, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe with notifications.